You don't know that at the very top, that whole project is being run illegally.
These are brand new witnesses, and they've got bombshell information to talk about.
These technologies are unsanctioned. They are illegal operations, and this can be proven in any court of law.
It's like, wow, nobody's coming after us. We're gonna do this until we can get away with it.
They would have so much control over everything if they had that.
If this information was all released, it could fall into the wrong hands.
They're using security as a cover for illicit or illegal or even treasonous activities.
The members of Congress didn't have the detailed information of the precise location.
Where they keep the bodies, the craft, the debris, all the evidence that we've been searching for the last 80 years.
He knew how to keep a secret. Secrets were his stock and trade.
They're literally making their own money to fund their own projects.
We have a source currently in the deep black world.
It doesn't matter if you're president of the United States, you're not going to talk about that.
There was this large monolithic slab, looked like it was elevated off of the ground.
It is traumatic.
Look, this is the most top secret shit you've ever heard of.
I think that we need to remind these guys and women who are in these covert facilities and corporations that they can come forward now because they're in an operation that's illegal. There's nothing, no law they're going to break.
Now we have founder of the Disclosure Project, Dr. Stephen Greer, and founder of Forbidden Knowledge, Billy Carson. We're going to do it live. We're going to do it right now. And we invite the world to chime in and leave us your comments. So let's get to it. You know, battle for disclosure. The battle is on. Disclosure is maybe in our hands. A new incoming president is about to take charge, apparently. And Dr. Stephen Greer has been behind the scenes in Washington, speaking with officials, executive branch, people on the inside with regards to what's going to happen next. So let's start it off with Dr. Stephen Greer. Welcome. And what's going on with these drones? Everybody wants to get your opinion.
Well, some backstory on that. These all began some months ago after a team of high-level black site defectors decided that they would come forward between now and in early January with all the evidence and information from 6 different black sites that have been involved in shooting down the ET craft, the reverse engineering of them, the ET bodies, and the man-made, what they call ATs, which is advanced technology, which are the man-made UFOs, which are most of what people see. Now, of course, the covert transnational corrupt organization running covert UFO UAP programs knows this. And of course, they can monitor everything with or without an encrypted block. And they are now launching what we had predicted in the late 1990s, and that is a series of diversionary false flag events to confuse the public and the politicians and the Pentagon as to what these UAPs are. So the whole launch of the drones that you're seeing in the United Kingdom, those started after I got back from the United Kingdom, providing briefings to the senior leadership of that country about this emerging disclosure that will be the biggest event in modern human history. Frankly, the people coming forward are not secondhand or even minor firsthand. These are operators assigned to special forces who have now risen up to a senior position at these key black sites, and they will be unmasked. They will be named. They will have the evidence. They will have the proof. And that's all happening in the next 30 days or so. I am telling you this because it is imminent. It's why I've been on a tour all over the world, meeting with senior officials in the U.S. government, the incoming administration, the current leaders in the House and the Senate. In fact, I just got back from Washington last night.
A bombshell claim about UFOs. A former U.S. intelligence official and Air Force veteran claims a top secret program is withholding evidence of alien space.
So that is what is happening. The drones are a predictable launch of a diversionary and a confusing event. They're certainly not extraterrestrial or NHI. The pop culture now is non-human intelligence term, NHI craft. It's clear that they're able to have assets that are ground-based or in STIFs, subterranean facilities, or what some people call DUMBs, deep underground military bases, where they can launch these sort of objects and create all kinds of confusion and alarm and panic. If you read my paper that I wrote in 1999, it's on our website, drstephengreer.com, and it states very pointedly that the actors who are keeping this secret will take the momentum of disclosure and try to turn it into an alien invasion scenario, a good versus bad alien scenario, a way to keep war running all over the world, and also aggrandize the military industrial complex with trillions of dollars in new spending to create a countermeasure to the alien threat. So we know this was the plan that was hatched in 1953 or so at the CIA. We have documents to that effect, and that it would only take place because there had been a long-term, multi-decade psychological warfare operation that began in the late in 50s in earnest with the man-made UFOs, and then later where they were using altered humans, and then in the later robotic aliens to abduct humans and to instigate terrorizing events like mutilations. And on occasion where they placed these man-made UFOs over developing world villages and blown up the whole village and killed dozens of people. Now, we have people on the inside who know all this. And so now the incoming president doesn't know this, the Congress doesn't know this, and 99.9% of the Pentagon don't know it, but this is what's going to be coming out in part. And the very granular details of what this defection group is going to put out there, we don't know, but it will absolutely be dispositive proof. But also the fact that they've agreed to unmask themselves, meaning they'll be named, is new. I just learned that a couple weeks ago when the leader of that group met with me at my place in Washington, D.C. So we'll see what happens if they don't get scrubbed. I mean, if they're not assassinated between now and then, this is what's coming out. And I'm making an attempt. I sort of joke, I've become the cosmic Paul Revere, going around trying to give a heads up to leaders around the world about this.
You know, exactly. Busy times right now, and it's crazy what's going on in the major media on how they're putting it out there. We don't know what these things are, but don't worry about it. They don't mean us any harm. And some of
what nonsense. We know what they are, and we know why they're there. Now, the press conference at the Pentagon today, there was a young woman who was saying, well, blah, blah. And I think, honestly, now people say, well, she's lying. She's not lying. Look, I've been briefing people at the level of 3-star generals and CIA directors for 31 years this week, when I first briefed the director of the CIA, who knew nothing about this issue. They were lying to him. So people make this big mistake, and they think that because you're in the US government or the CIA or DOD, Department of Defense, that you know all about this and everyone's in this big conspiracy keeping it secret. No. 99.9% of everyone in the US government, particularly our political leaders, know virtually nothing about this subject. And what they do know is 9 parts disinformation, false information, and maybe 1 part information. And that's true of the House Oversight Committee, the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee, because I know that when we have gone up there and provided, like the last meeting I had up there about a month ago, I had the senior official from Great Britain and the head of this special forces unit that is going to be assigned to law enforcement, not the defector, and then our whistleblower, the Marine, Michael Herrera, who saw one of these man-made UFOs with special forces, special operators in the process of kidnapping humans that were created up to be taken into human experimentation. Now, the group that is defecting have been part of that, and they feel terrible about it, and they're going to expose those criminal activities. So this is going to be the biggest disclosure in modern history, bar none. And the name of this film, Battle for Disclosure, which I helped you with, that is the name that is an important one to remember. It's a battle. Now, why? Because after all this comes out, this is when the battle really begins. Because what does a new incoming president do about this? What is the Congress going to do about it? Do we put our military and the media go on this sort of rabbit hole of negative false information, which is 90% of, say, ufology, abductions, mutilations, good aliens, bad aliens, grays, all the stuff that's been put out there over 70 years of counterintelligence and psychological warfare operations. If that is where that goes, we're in an interplanetary conflict. If we can expose that as a big lie, then we can move to what has been called this golden age. And by the way, it wasn't just Trump that said, we've been talking about a new golden age of enlightenment on Earth since I started being a meditation teacher in 1973 and 4, 50 years ago. And it's about this information coming out with the technologies being used for peaceful purposes to eliminate poverty and create almost like a heaven on earth, and fix the environment with free energy, but also to start a program where we make contact with these civilizations peacefully instead of shooting them down. So the disclosure coming out is the easy part, even though it's taken me 31 years to do it, 33 years. But the media, as you mentioned, the corporate big media, is integrated horizontally and vertically into this organization doing this. So these are expert people on manipulating media and human psychology, and now social media, by the way, in the direction they want it to go. And that, to me, is the real battle for disclosure, or a part of it. And because if they can capture the minds and hearts of people through fear, once people, like you said earlier, once people get into a fear mode and a fight or flight response, the human brain shuts down its rational and even higher spiritual function and discernment, and can then be stampeded into any action. And they understand this. The organization that is involved in keeping this secret, they understand how powerful the override of the rational mind is by fear. And so this has been a tool of war and of psychological warfare for millennia, frankly. But they have honed it to a real science and art in the last 50 years. And what we've been saying, that we can prove that through documents and what have you that we have. But the other part of it is that I called for about 30 years, I've been calling this entire plan to do a false disclosure and a psychological warfare spin on it as sort of a cosmic Gulf of Tonkin, that basically, to follow on with what you said, the outcry by the media that was all scripted, and that then went to a public outcry, forced Johnson to greatly expand the Vietnam War against his better judgment. This is historical fact, and it led to that quagmire. But it enriched the military-industrial complex trillions of dollars. So, they don't really care if it kills millions of people. They care if it consolidates their power and their control. And remember, money at that level isn't about a paycheck. It's about power, about control.
I asked Congressman Tim Burchett with regards to technology, a possible rogue corporation, and he was pretty concerned. He said that keeps him up at night. Let's roll a quick clip of this interview exclusively on Battle for Disclosure, available right now. Take a look at this.
Do you believe that there are private corporations that have gone rogue with this technology?
That scares me, that they could get a hold of it and move ahead with it. That's why I think it's better if we know out in the public, because they would have so much control over everything if they had that. To me, that should be warning enough. But the beauty of it is it's so advanced, I just think we're clueless. I'd be surprised if we had anything in the way of a reversed engineered craft. I just don't think we have the technology to pull that together. I may be wrong, maybe people are laughing at me right now when they see that, but I just think it's so far advanced that we don't have a clue. And I've talked to pilots, that have said they're, you know, basically, and they've drawn out. Yeah, okay, I can say that. I think they've drawn out pictures of things that they don't exist in any military aircraft in this world. They got a reason to lie to me. I mean, all they're doing is going to get lit up, because even if there is a, you know, they're not going to any retribution against them. They're still, you know, they destroy information, they destroy tapes, because they do not want to have to be taken off the flight line or whatever for 8 hours to be, you know, to be interrogated, when they should be saluted for coming out with some honesty.